Hey, how y'all doing today? Welcome to my table talk, Mixed Conversations. And today we have a guest speaker named Dola Michelle. She has a master's in social work and she is a DEI specialist. Where are you from, Dola?
I'm from Joplin, currently living in Northwest Arkansas.
Oh, nice. How was it growing up in Joplin?
Joplin, Missouri, it brings a lot of benefits. It's a great community in a lot of ways. However, it does lack a lot of diversity. And so, like a lot of communities, we continue to find areas that we need to grow when it comes to inclusion and, just making sure that everyone feels accepted.
Okay, nice. That's nice. So today we're going to talk about Christian topics in everyday life. Let's begin. So Dola, today I have one scripture. I actually have two scriptures for you. On the first one, love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22 and 39. For the first question, how does the scripture speak to you?
Love your neighbor as yourself. So, obviously the goal is to be as loving as possible, to connect with people, to understand people, to be empathetic and compassionate. And so that's the ultimate goal. But that scripture, it speaks two directions to me. One is that we have to be sure that we love our neighbors and that we're doing everything we can to be as loving as possible. However, I turn that scripture around and remind myself that I need to love myself as I love my neighbors. Sometimes we get so intentional about loving others that we forget about that self-care and that self-love. So for me, it's about loving others and also loving ourselves.
I feel that because if you're not giving love to yourself, if you're not filling your glass and you're pouring from an empty cup, it's going to be kind of hard for you to help people.
I agree. I think you must pour into yourself if you continuously are pouring out for others.
I feel that. So for the next question I have for you is, how do you actually love your neighbor better? How do you do that?
So me personally, like I said, it's about connecting with people, connecting on a level that's a little more than superficial, where, you try to empathize or put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? So I want to be able to understand the world a little bit from their perspective, even when it's different than mine. And building those connections, I think, opens more opportunities to support, love, and care for people.
That makes sense. Do you think that in today's society we kind of live in a superficial world?
We do, in a lot of different ways. And so, and even when we think about the ways that we view people and the things that we initially see and the perspectives and the ideas that we gain, whether it be due to their race or their religion or their class status, their sexual orientation, we often see surface level things and we make assumptions or ideas based on that. And so, the inclusion piece for me, that loving piece where people feel loved and welcomed and supported, means that we learn to understand each other in our differences and appreciate each other in our differences as well.
Oh, that was a very beautiful statement that you said, the last one. I think that we can all learn something from each other and be thankful for it and grateful for it as well.
Absolutely.
So, for this last question I have for you before we freestyle, I actually have another chapter for you, another scripture.
Okay.
So Proverbs 27 and 19, as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. How does your life reflect your heart?
Yeah. That's a big one. I talk a lot about being intentional. And we can say that we care about things and we can say that we want to move in certain areas or grow in certain things, but it's our actions, the way that we live that really speaks to where our heart is at. So for me personally, I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion professional. So my goal is to make spaces as welcoming as possible for various different types of people to come together in. And so, I think that addressing our own biases or the ways that we see people differently based on their identities is a really important part to being intentional and being that letting our lives reflect our hearts. So, we live in a society that has a lot of different issues as far as different groups of people treated differently in different spaces. So, as a Christian person, as a person who wants to grow in our spiritual walk, I think once you recognize that, if you really care about that and you really want to address, the things that in our own hearts, maybe the socialization caused a bias or us to treat someone differently because of their identity, you know, we have to be intentional and with action. We have to find ways to understand ourselves and others better so that we can work better together and live better together in this loving space, right? And so for me, that scripture really speaks about the importance of action and being intentional. And my area of interest, again, is diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So whether that be that you're educating yourself or exposing yourself to new people or experiences or taking a training or educating others, listening to others. There are just so many different ways to be intentional and let our lives reflect a heart that really cares about inclusion issues.
Yes, I think that everybody can definitely learn something from inclusion issues coming from different backgrounds and being able to understand one another and being able to work together, coming to a common ground, which will be very useful.
Yeah, it really is. It's just about us connecting as people. And it's easier to do that when you are intentional about understanding where someone comes from and what makes them see things the way they do and act the way they do even, perhaps. And so, yeah.
That makes sense. I like that. So, we can just freestyle questions. Do you actually have any questions for me, Dola?
So, I would ask you the same question. I would ask you, is there something that you think people can do to be intentional, more intentional about understanding their neighbors better, and what do you think in your life reflects your heart?
Okay, so for the first question, how I think people can get to know their neighbor better is by first just really getting to know them, speaking to them, understanding them, like their interests, their hobbies, like really like what they like to do, like for fun, and when you realize that your differences doesn't really matter because you guys have more in common than you actually know.
Yes, I love that. We do. We have so much in common just as people, right? Just as people in the universe. And we can find that common ground while appreciating our differences. Absolutely. I think that's the goal.
And how does my life reflect my heart? How my life reflects my heart is, so I really love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I wake up with a smile. I get to live another day. That's a blessing. Just to be able to see people and be able to help people and be able to guide people if they need assistance in becoming the better version of themselves, or just really just anything, helping people get in better shape or working out, just anything. And my life reflects my heart just by love and joy and happiness, and being able to share that with the world. That is just so much fun. Yeah.
I see you light up when you talk about your passion, and that's really exciting. Not everyone gets to do the work that they have passion for, and so I feel the same way about my work. I'm very passionate about building inclusive spaces where people feel welcomed, and so thank you for sharing that. And I just want to touch, sorry, just on one little thing you said. You said becoming the best version of ourselves. And, for me, that's what some of exploring diversity, equity, and inclusion in our lives is. It's becoming the best version of ourselves. See, in America, we live in a society that historically, some groups of people just had it a lot more difficult than others. And so, as we acknowledge that and we understand what impact that has on the way we think and behave and move today, and see other people, becoming the best version of ourselves, growing spiritually. If you have biases against a person, if you, because of a person's race or because of their gender or their sexual orientation or their religion, if you instantly treat someone different, you have a barrier to loving them fully. So I think becoming the best version of ourselves is, exploring how growing up in America, how our own socialization and experiences have impacted the way we think and move today.
Man, that was good right there. That's some good stuff right there.
You led me into it.
Man, hey, I thank you guys for tuning in to Mixed Conversations. Hey, you guys have a great day.